Hey, welcome to Q&A, where you ask your questions on faith and life, and I do my best to give a biblical perspective. Well, we've got a question that follows on from a question asked a couple of weeks or so ago. So let's jump in, shall we? In response to your Q&A about sex while engaged, how long should a couple wait before getting married? What should be in order first? A house, at least 25? And this is a good question. When is the right time to get married? I want to say that if you're asking what does the Bible have to say about what should be first in terms of material priorities as your minimum age, there is no age. In fact, in the Bible, you read that it's really a cultural norm, not a spiritual guide or a command given by God or one of the elders. Girls got married, around 12, 13, guys slightly older. But that was a reflection of the culture of the day. Likewise, today, there are some cultures that marry later in life, other cultures getting married late teens, early 20s, it's no big deal. I think you have to decide for yourself, and part of that decision-making process will reflect your cultural upbringing. If you're brought up in a culture that delays marriage, then your natural thought processes will reflect that, and you probably won't be thinking about marriage till later. And I don't think that's a bad thing in and of itself. However, while there's no age given in Scripture, and we need to determine what's appropriate and what's not. And for the record, I was 3 months short of my 24th birthday when I got married. I got married young. My kids got married young. I've been married over 36 years. I know people who delayed their marriage till their late 20s, early 30s, thinking they'd be right, and their marriage didn't make it past year 5. So, as I say, there's no right age. But what it reflects is certain things have to be in place. Certain emotional capacities have to be established in someone's life, I think, before they should consider getting married. For example, in Ephesians chapter 5, men are called to love their wives as Christ loved the church, which was sacrificially. So if there's not the emotional intelligence, the emotional capacity or maturity to put aside your own needs in favor of your spouse's, if you lack the emotional maturity to put her needs before your own, then you're probably not ready to get married. If you think that, hey, I'm going to get married and still have my boys' nights out all the time, still do what I want, sit around, play Xbox, whatever, you're probably not ready to get married. Likewise, in Ephesians, wives are called to submit to their husbands. Again, if the emotional maturity is not present to be able to do that graciously and humbly without seeking to self-justify behaviors or to sulk, and that's not a gender-specific thing, that men sulk just as much as women, then again, I would suggest that it's just a reflection that you're not emotionally ready to commit to marriage. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you're not quite there yet. You also need the emotional capacity to support and encourage one another, to be held accountable by one another without getting your nose put out of joint, so to speak. You need to show the maturity that's required to handle the responsibilities that go with marriage and the pressures that go with marriage. You can't just walk away when the going gets tough. You have to be able to see those hard times through. So I think if these types of characteristics are lacking, then it's probably, irrespective of age, you're probably not ready to get married yet. If these things are in place, then even if you're younger, then probably are in a position to consider getting married. And again, this is why I'm a great advocate of pre-marriage counselling, because it helps you identify some of these issues so that you can work through them before you get married, so that when you're married, you're in a place to offer yourself to the other as best you can. With regards to your question regards financial priorities, what should come first, Snap? It's a good question. I don't think it's necessarily you need to have a house or anything like that. In fact, in today's economy, gosh, people wouldn't be getting married until late in life. But what is necessary, I think, is the ability to ensure that you can live within your means, that if you're a man, to provide for your spouse, put a roof over the head together. If you're going to have a family, provide a loving, stable environment for kids, etc. And that means having a job, being stable in your employment, having an income to be able to provide the necessities, at least for a family, and on it goes. So I do think there needs to be some degree of financial stability, but I don't think you need to have everything in place before you get married. I think in terms of financial stability, you have to have a plan. You need to work together. You need to recognize what the issues are, and so be working towards meeting those. Again, going back to the earlier thing around those characteristics, you don't have to be perfect, but you just have to be on the roads to being able to navigate the demands of a relationship and have the maturity to work through things as they come up, so that you can go from strength to strength. So, yeah, I hope that answers it. I don't think there's any minimum age. Well, there is a minimum age, obviously, by law. But I think, if you're 21 and you're ready, why not? If you're 35 and you're not ready, then don't, and you shouldn't. So it really comes down to not age, but emotional, spiritual maturity. So yeah, I hope that gives some direction. You've probably got thoughts on it. Love to hear them in the comments below. But that's it for now. As always, if you've got questions on faith and life, jump over to slido.com and use the hashtag ALC-2024. Love to hear from you. But until next time, God bless.